Okay, so I've taken the bowl off. The bowl's right here. Now, if you want to change your main jet, this tube goes right here. And when you take this cap, this plug off the bowl, you can put a screwdriver in there to this, and hopefully this whole thing won't come out. But even if it did, you could probably still put it in there. But you can change the main jet out. And the main jet is a, let's see what we got. My eyes are terrible. The main jet is a 068. 068. And the idle jet is a 295. So we're gonna go up. I'm gonna go up one size on both of them, and then I'll take the bike back out. But I'm gonna look over all my wiring just to make sure nothing's loose or something. I took the dash off just to check the connections on the ignition switch to make sure everything was good there. I mean, I never lost the light. That was one thing I did when I was riding and it shut off. I put my hand in the front to make sure I had a light. So I did not lose my light, but for some reason it just shut off. Now, I really don't think the jets being wrong would cause this, but then again, I've seen some weird shit. You know, I've been a setup mechanic at Bosch here for almost 29 years and work on my bikes, boats, go-karts, my trucks, cars, whatever, everything. And you know, I've seen things that were the problem that you never would have thought were the problem, but they were. So I'm not going to say definitely this is not the problem. It just seemed electrical the way it just shut off on me. Could be this, I don't know. We're going to find out. All right, so I'm going to change both these jets out, and then I'm going to put the bowl back on and set my, this is your right here. I hope you can see this. Let me hold on a second. Let me do something. All right, here we go. So this is your idle screw for the SNS. So this is going to change your idle. Screwing it in clockwise will raise your idle, because literally what you're doing is that tab connects to the butterfly there, and the more you screw that tab in, the more your butterfly opens, so you're letting more air in. So that'll increase your idle. Screwing it out will let that butterfly close. The other one you have here, right here, is your idle, fuel air mixture at idle. Fuel air mixture at idle. So what this will do is it determines how much air and fuel is going into the carburetor while it's idling. And then you have one more adjustment, which is right here. And this is the accelerator pump. This is the rod for the accelerator pump. So what happens there is on the B series carburetors, which I've got one around here somewhere. I don't know what I did with it. Oh, wait a minute. I know where it's at. I've got a couple drawers here full of shit. Well, dadgum. Ah, here we go. No, yeah, here it is. Here it is. I was gonna say that's it, but that's an old Mikuni, or excuse me, CV. This is the B series carburetor that was on the bike when I got it. So if you look at the bottom here. All right, so this is the B series, this is the E series, and here's your fuel outlets. All right, and then if you'll notice, that's all that's on here. On the E series and G series, they have this. When you take these two off, there is a diaphragm in there that opens and closes depending on how much pressure is put on this rod when you blip the throttle real quickly. So from an idle, when you pop the throttle on the B series, you had to have it tuned perfectly or you'd have a stutter. That accelerator pump, which the needle comes out right up here. And when you sit here and blip the throttle looking at it, you'll see that thing shoot fuel in. And it's just a little extra fuel right then to get the bike over that idle to the next stage of the fuel delivery. If you don't have it set right, when you blip the throttle, you'll have a stumble. So that's when you start adjusting that screw in or out. All the way in, not cranked in, but all the way in, so just seated, that rod doesn't move at all. That's 0 point. There's nothing going on. Then you would back it out a quarter to a half at a time, each time as you blip the throttle, until you get to a point when you pop the throttle and it idles real quick and clean, real crisp. There's no stutter, no stumble or nothing. That's where you want to leave it. The the air fuel mixture, you want the bike warmed up, and then you start, usually start, I think it's, I'm not gonna swear, I think that's 1 1/4 turns out starting point. And then what you would do is start screwing it in until the bike starts to stumble. As soon as it starts to stumble, you remember where you're at and you start backing it out, counting your turns until the bike starts to raise up in revs and then stumbles again. From that point, whatever you backed out, if you back out, say, 1 turn and it starts to stumble on the high side, you would turn it in 1/2. You'll go half of whatever you came out, and that's supposed to be in between both points. When you screw it in and the bike stumbles, you screw it out, the bike stumbles. Halfway, that's the good starting point for air fuel mixture. Now later on, what you can do is you can make slight adjustments on the fly without having to worry about, you know, if you can add a little bit of fuel to your idle and your very low range on the RPMs by screwing out. Out will give you more fuel. In will cut it off. So it's like in is lean, out is fat. Just remember that. And your idle, I don't have a tachometer on this thing, so I'm just going by ear. You know, I like that low idle, but when it's too low, sometimes when you let off the throttle, it just wants to go down and it'll die on you. They say 950 to 1050 is a good point for your idle, and you know, I just try to go by sound because I don't have a tack. I might try to find a they make tacks you can hook up to just as you're tuning. I may do that one day just to see, but for right now, I think I've got the idle good. I just think my problem is the jets on this thing were wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and swap those jets out, and then we'll pick it back up again.